All right, everybody, welcome out to another episode of Windshield Time at Mountainland Supply. I'm Joey. I'm here with Brandon, our CEO.
Hey, everyone.
And Spencer Shorts, the man of sorts.
Yeah, that's me.
And today we're here with Bret. What's your middle name?
Nathan.
Bret Nathan Adams,
Really?
BNA. Interesting initials. We've been joking and laughing for 15 minutes before this, and we just decided we got to start recording because some of this is just gold. I've said this to a few people. We have several Adams that work here for us. I want to go to an Adams family reunion because I bet that is a freaking riot. Am I right?
Well, for some, yes. Maybe not for my mom.
Yeah.
So I am one of 5 boys, and then we have one sister.
Yeah. All right.
So,
where does the sister land?
she is number 3.
Okay.
So
She's right stuck in the middle.
Yep. I have an older brother, and it's funny because it's all B's or A's. So it's Bart, Brett, my sister Andrea, and then I have a brother Austin, and then a brother Brady, and then of course Bradley.
Yeah. And everybody knows Bradley.
It's all it's A's and B's.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
Brady, and then Bradley.
yeah, I know. I don't know what my mom was thinking.
Huh.
And you know, what's
I mean,
funny?
at some point you run out of bees.
You do.
So-
And when the two of them get together, I always switch them up. But when they're alone,
It's better than Beelzebub or something like that, if you had to pick a bee name.
yeah, very much so. But I think he's been to some of those family reunions.
Yes. Yeah,
Yes.
Beelzebub.
Yeah. Nope.
I think it would be a freaking riot. Because you guys
it's
all
fun.
have that fun sense of humor. Man, nothing's off limits.
Yeah, really nothing is off limits. Sometimes my mom gets very upset.
I would
with us.
imagine, yeah.
So, no, it's good. It's good. Family reunions are good.
So, born and raised in Pleasant Grove?
Yes, sir.
Where do you live now? Is it still in Pleasant Grove?
Locust Avenue in Linden, which is right next to Pleasant
Okay,
Grove.
so I didn't know. I know where you live. I just didn't know if that was in the boundaries or not. You're technically in Linden.
Yep, Linden. So my dad was a fruit farmer. I don't know if you knew that. So apples.
I'm learning now.
all sorts. Apples, cherries, peaches, everything. And back in the 90s, early 90s, I got a lot and I built a house on it. So I'm still there. But since then, the orchards are gone and it's full of houses.
So no more orchards left at all?
No more orchards. One tree. I have one apple tree
Oh, yeah.
left. That's it.
One of the originals.
The originals. It's a cool tree too. So when my dad was born, his mom died, and my
In
grandpa,
childbirth or just after?
10 days after.
Oh, wow.
10 days after. So his grandma raised him, and I guess it would have been my grandfather had a lot of land, and he divvied it out to his kids, and so when my dad, was old enough to, kind of contribute, he inherited what his mother's portion was.
Really?
And so when my dad was 16, he got $100 from somewhere, and he planted this plot of apple trees. And so I still have one of the apple trees.
Really?
Dude, that's an original apple tree?
Yeah, the original one. Yeah, it's probably about 65 years old.
So does it still bear fruit or
Oh
no?
yeah, great fruit. Yeah,
Really?
and I really take good care of it. I mean, it's like really close to me. It's like this is one of the original trees.
Yeah.
So yep. So every spring I'm out there pruning it, and
What variety?
it's an old red delicious. It's a Frank strain variety. So it's really sweet.
Doesn't mean anything to me. But
Is it mushy, though?
I
Because
like
Red
it.
Delicious gets
Yeah.
mushy,
They can get mushy.
but you got to eat them early.
Well, yeah, or you keep them in the fridge,
Yeah.
cool, and they're great. But you let them ripen on the tree, and they'll get like a little. I call them water core, so it's like sugar inside the apple.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really my wife. She hates apples, but this is the one apple she will eat. She loves that apple.
So when are they ripe?
October.
So
Really?
Am I going to be able to eat one this October?
I know.
Yeah, I've actually really taken care of it this year. I've sprayed it like 4 times.
Yeah.
With the cheap stuff that we can buy, back when we were,
Oh, yeah. You can get this
producing
stuff that
you
kills
get-
everything.
Yeah, everything. The
DDT, baby.
and parathion.
Who
stuff.
cares about those butterflies, anyways?
Everything.
You know what?
Bees, you don't need them, right?
We don't need them.
But-
Pollinators, who needs them?
So anyway, yeah, it's good. It's a really good crop this year, and I've just started thinning it. I do got to get my ladder out to get to the top of the tree. So yeah,
Backyard
There
or
should
front
be
yard?
Backyard.
Okay.
I actually had 5 trees, and I took 4 of them down.
Really?
4. of the 5 that I had, my wife was very upset. She said, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
Well, the great shade,
you
too.
get like 10, 12 bushels of apples off a tree. I said,
what are we going to do with them?
What are you going to do with 100?
Yeah. You
100
can only
bushel
make
of
so much
apples?
apple jam.
Well, and they make a mess too.
Yeah,
if you don't pick
take
them.
yeah. Or if you don't spray them, they get worms, they drop.
Yeah.
It's just a mess.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
One's a lot easier to manage.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
And
So-
they were all apple trees that you had originally. All 5 were apple trees. Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Because where I was the older variety.
So are there any other trees still existing, like any of the other fruits? Like you said that there was cherries and
In other people's yards.
as I've driven around some of the places that are houses, I see like where pears were, and they're just these old pear trees that
Never been taken care
haven't
of.
been taken care of. I'm like, wow, that's what happens, when you let it just do what it wants.
Well, because
So
a lot of orchards, they'll rotate their trees every 15 years or so.
we never did.
Yeah.
We did that with peaches. Peaches had about a 15, 16-year lifespan,
Yeah.
and so we were always changing the peaches out. But
Did you do cherries also?
yeah, we had cherries.
So which was your biggest cash crop?
Apples by far.
Yeah.
Apples was the biggest. In fact,
Adams apples.
yep. Benny's
apples.
apples.
Okay.
So in Pleasant Grove, there's Adams apples, which was my dad's uncle on Second South there. Artie Adams was my dad's uncle, and he had a bunch of fruit trees over there too now.
Were apples more popular here in the North Utah County, or was it?
They're super popular in South Utah County.
I know that because I grew up in Highland, and there was orchards up there, and it always seemed like there was apple orchards up there.
So with apples, it all depends on the ground. So like an apple tree has roots that grow close to the surface of the ground. They like rocky soil because they like oxygen. So if it's really not rocky and it doesn't get a lot of the
That's why
oxygen.
they love Santaquin.
Yeah, it's probably
That's why
really
Highland's super
Yeah,
rocky.
super rocky.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yep.
Dude,
That
I
makes sense.
learned something from you every time we talk.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
You're
man.
a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, that's really what I was when thinking back. What did Bret want to do? And I could have been an apple farmer.
Oh, for sure.
I'd have loved it.
I would have loved being a dairy farmer too. It
Yeah.
just wasn't in the cards, know.
Yep.
So, what brought you to the HVAC industry?
So back to the apples. So we had a packing shed where we would process these apples.
Yeah.
And we had a huge cooler that we'd store the bins of apples in.
I love hanging out there in the summer.
And after it was probably 1985. Yeah, it was 85 because I was a senior in high school.
That was a year after I was born, just to add some perspective.
I was 2 years old.
Perfect. See, Spencer, back to the 60s. Hey, back to the 60s.
Back to
Hey.
the 60s.
I was
Let's,
alive.
let's just make a notation. He could have been our dad.
Maybe you are, dude.
You're
Pregnant
old enough
Grove.
to be.
I am from Pleasant Grove. So after work, so my dad, we had about 25 acres of fruit trees, but my dad also worked at Hill Air Force Base.
Okay.
So he would commute from Pleasant Grove to Ogden. And so after school, he'd say, hey, we're going to do this many apples. I need this many boxes made. So after school, I'd go down, I'd start, putting these cardboard boxes together with the stapler and whatever. And there was a gentleman there working on the cooler. Yeah, the low temp equipment. And I got talking to him. I says, hey, how do you like doing that? And he says, you know what? He says, I've never not been without a job a day in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's kind of cool. So it was probably the next day or a couple days after I went to school and talked to my counselor and said, hey, is there anything in, refrigeration, air conditioning that's available? And he says, you know what, there's actually this scholarship that's available, and it's the Orville Gunther Scholarship.
Oh, really?
For it was Utah Technical College back in 86.
Yeah.
And I applied and I got the scholarship. I swear I had to be the only one that applied because my senior year.
I doubt there's a high drive for the Orville Gunther, scholarship.
There must not have been because
You don't hear about
I
it.
got it. I got it. My senior year, I had 2 classes.
Yeah.
One, because I had just pushed through my 10th and 11th grade to get every credit I could because I really just wanted to screw off my senior year.
You want to go farm apples.
Well, so I had 2 classes. My mom made me take seminary, was one.
Sure.
And then the other one was vocational agriculture because of the FFA.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
And
Did you graduate seminary?
yes, I did.
Really? Not even a 3-year degree? You did a 4-year? Full 4-year?
Yeah, I did.
Calvert got a 3-year.
Yeah. And his
No,
mom's mad.
I got a 4-year.
Elaine has never forgiven
My
him for
mom pushed me, and my mom also got an eagle for me as well.
it. That a girl.
Good job.
We all
Paul.
know that moms all got the eagles. My mom got an eagle too.
So I went and 2 years, got a certificate in refrigeration and air conditioning, and as soon as that was done, I don't know if you guys remember Ellis Allred.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he lived down the street from me, and he heard, or knew that I was going to school, and he says, "Hey, Bret, why don't you come down here?" So I actually started with Mountainland Contractors
Yeah.
in 1988.
Really?
Wow.
Yep. So that's when I started, and then I worked for about 6 months in a local heating company in Pleasant Grove. He seen me. Well, I'd actually drive down the road past his house, and I'd toss him apples in the fall time. And
Yeah.
he says, "Hey, Bret, I do this. You want to come work for me?" And I says, "Yeah, I went to school for this. Sure, I'll come and do it." So for 6 months, and then I left in it's just about 18 years.
Yeah.
Worked for him, and then came back in 2007.
Were you doing residential or commercial?
Residential and small commercial.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, it was good. It was a great experience.
Well, and you are much more rounded having gone through that for us as a company because you've been in the field and you understand those experiences. And that's those who have been in the field, the Terry boys, it really does help you understand and have some empathy for the installer.
Well, the empathy and especially when a bid's due or something, it's like or equipment, lead times and whatnot. It's like
They're depending on
these guys need this. I know they need this. They have to keep families going and whatnot. And so it's real.
Yeah.
It's neat to see. It's fun. So been here ever since. But
So-
when I came back, it was right when we picked up Carrier.
Yeah.
Right, and then I was into the
Heck of a ride.
I was in the commercial department.
Yeah.
And
So 05, 06?
07.
07. Okay.
07. Yep. It was September 13th, Rosh Hashanah Day of 07.
Which is big for you.
Yeah, it's huge. I just remember that on the calendar. I thought,
I celebrate Rosh Hashanah with a new job.
What is this Rosh Hashanah, you know? And so I kind of looked it up. And
I'm
thought,
putting
that's
that as
interesting.
your like a special day for you in my calendar.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call you.
I think, as I remember, because it was weird, so I what is this day? And I think it's like the anniversary of Adam and Eve.
Is that what it is? I've never even looked up Rosh Hashanah.
I think so.
Fact check.
Don't quote me on that.
No,
but it's
Shorts will
something.
look
It could
into
be
it.
Yeah, look
something
it up.
like that.
Shorts is looking into it. We're
So-
good.
Anniversary of Adam and Eve?
Yeah,
Since we know what that is.
yeah.
There's
I'm
somebody
pretty
out there tracking.
and along with like Israel leaving.
See, that's what I thought it was when Israel left Palestine.
It is, but I think
went
I think
back
there's
to
a tie in there with Adam and Eve
Jerusalem.
somewhere too. But anyway,
Okay.
kind of weird. So anyway, but it came back into the commercial department, and the funny thing was, I'd done small commercial,
Yeah.
and you got to understand, when coming from the field and in like the early 2000s, I didn't own a computer.
Oh, yeah.
I may have gotten my first computer in like 2005, but I never touched it.
Yeah.
It was like the treadmill I had, It dried,
gathered dust.
It dried blankets, the arm.
Yeah.
That's what that stuff
Made
does,
a
right?
great clothes horse.
So
yeah.
so I didn't. So I had to learn all that, and it was really. It was like I'd come in, like, what the heck did I do? What did I do? What did I do? This is weird. I have no idea,
Yeah.
And but anyway, no, I just fell in love with it and started learning stuff that I had never even had an idea about. For the first 2 years, I'm selling stuff I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, this is weird.
So how did you do heat calcs and stuff back in the day without a computer?
Oh,
just didn't do it?
That we didn't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, there
That's not needed.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just it wasn't required.
Yeah.
They
Probably didn't even understand that sort of thing back. I mean, they understood it, but
when-
they didn't sell to it, right?
When I started, if you were putting in an air conditioning unit, like a condensing unit.
It was all the same thing.
It was rare. You know, it was all evap coolers.
Yeah, swamp coolers.
Oh,
I remember the concrete building.
Yeah.
It was full of coolers.
Yeah.
But that was a big deal. Was evap cooling.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool to see that change.
I
and
loved
now
our
it's
evap
like
cooler. I love the smell of it. What's up? What'd you figure out about Rosh Hashanah?
Yeah, so it marks the beginning of the new year and is also
Oh, it's the Jewish calendar.
and honors the creation date of Adam and Eve.
What?
there you go.
Dude, you knew without knowing.
I remember reading it like 17 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
It's just weird. That's what I remember. If it's something I have to remember, I'm not. But it's senseless, useless information. That's a steel trap, man.
Yeah, I know. I'm right there with you. So you started as like doing estimating, that
Estimating
sort of thing?
commercials. Yep, commercial jobs, open bid plan, and then kind of moved on. 2017 is probably when I came on board to be the commercial sales manager for like Orem area.
Yeah.
And then when we merged, 18 is when I became the commercial sales manager for
The company.
the company, and then just in October switched to the more of a territory manager salesman out of Salt Lake.
Yep.
So
sales manager over TMs.
TMs, yep. Which is most of it's now is residential, but I do have some of my guys. That
they
do
cross
a lot
over.
They do a lot of commercial.
Yeah, they do
so,
crossover.
I still love the commercial end of it. I believe it. So it's fun.
I remember when you got put over the commercial because you and we worked closely on early order buys.
Yes.
Those
Rooftops. Yep. It was a W quote then.
Yeah. W quote.
Yeah. It was always funny. So I'd always have to put a list together, and when Brandon was CFO, I'd have to go and I'd say, I got to go ask for all this money and make sure we're okay. And he'd always say, Bret, do you have enough? Do you have enough coming? Do you have enough coming? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. But back then we would order, and we would order in February, and they'd ship it like in March.
Right.
And then the terms were the payment was due in like the end of June.
Yeah.
And we would always sell out before we even had to pay
before
him.
you had to pay for
That's
it.
why he's like, Bret, I'll get you room. I'll make you more room. I'll make you more room.
Yeah.
And heck, back then it was like, I had like, maybe 80 units going into Salt Lake and 40 going into
And that's
Orem.
a month now.
Yeah, and then the last one we just put in was like 1,000 units.
Yeah.
It's like,
So crazy.
Scale
it
is
is weird,
nuts.
but
I do remember that because the very first time that we had that discussion, you came to me and I was just asking, getting curious about it and asking. And the number that you had there, if it seems to me, it was like not even the same amount that we sold in that time period last year.
probably.
And so we had a discussion. I remember just kind of saying, well, don't you think we should at least buy what we sold? Do you think that we're going to go back? And you're like, no, we're going to grow. I'm like, don't you think we? And so we had this discussion. You went back and you came back and gave a larger list.
Yep.
And it was because we got a discount too.
Well,
a discount, and we got terms on the.
we did, and then we also got margin on top of that.
Exactly.
Right.
Because the way we used to sell, we used to have to quote everything, and so it was a 3 or 4 more points more.
So
and it was good.
Yeah, we got more
It's
money off
meaningful.
of it, and they gave us great terms
Yep.
on it. And so I remember that very first year, I think you were super nervous because I
was.
kind of pushed you and said, let's buy more, more. And that had been kind of the opposite mentality that had been in
Right.
over on the contractor side for the heating side, because there had been some struggles there, especially up north, right?
Yep.
And so doing that, I think it was like the first month after they came in, or a month and a half, I remember you coming in and you just had a big smile. He's like, we've sold them all already.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, that means we should have bought more.
We should have.
And so then
It
the
was
next
always
year,
that way.
I remember like you had it down and you're just like, okay, this is what I expect. This is how much we're going to sell. We sold last year. This is what we do. Here's some growth to it. And I just remember, awesome, let's do it. And I just remember just from there, we just kept building and building and building. And I thought that was probably one of my very first moments with you.
Yeah, I think it was.
Going-
There.
Walking through that and just being able to help you out with that. And I mean, from there, you're a phenomenal guy. I've gotten to know you over the years, and a huge amount of trust that goes into you because
Awesome.
Just being able to see what you're able to do and also be able to help our other people that are out there. That's the one thing. Bret's one that I remember I would always, if I had a personal question or anything, even to this day, I still call you. Even he was a commercial guy, but I'm talking about residential.
Anything.
And I would just come and just meander over and be like, hey, Bret, you got a minute? Can I talk to you? Can I sit down? And we would talk, and it always, I mean, super
Easy.
knowledgeable. Yeah.
You
easy
make it
to talk
easy.
to. And also, he would simplify it.
Yeah.
He would make it dummy proof.
Yeah.
He'd bring it down to my level so that I could understand. But those are things that you do also within our business too, that I've noticed is that you, as you work with other people, as you work with customers, as you work with other our employees, you make it easy to understand these complex situations, these complex, whatever it is, the situations that we're in. You're able to simplify it, help people understand, and get everybody on the same page.
Yep.
Which is, that's a talent. You don't. Not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, I simplify it because I'm very simple, right? It's like that's how I learned. It's just make it simple. Show me what we need to do, and let me just do it.
Yeah.
So, but no, it was some of those growing pains through that whole rooftop buying stuff. And in fact, I was just talking to Danny the other day, and we were talking about condenser units, and I was saying, and I shared the story, that one you just told with Danny, and I'm like, we'll sell them.
Yeah.
They'll go. It just happens.
Just trust.
Just trust it. Trust the process.
So in your job, your current role today, what's your favorite part about it? And then I'm going to ask you your most challenging part after that. Your favorite part.
My favorite part, I think right now, getting to know a new group of guys, right? I love that. I love going and visiting customers with them. I love that. And
you see their personality come out.
It really does. And it just to see the knowledge that they have, right? Because as I've been in these roles, some of the product knowledge, it's almost like I have a whole different, things that I got to work on and work with, that a lot of the product, it changes so fast that I don't know the product. And it was funny. I was talking to Cody Sampson. I'm like, Cody, I says, I'll get this equipment learned and whatnot. He says, Bret, you leave the equipment up to us. We'll learn that. This is what we need from you. I'm like, perfect.
It sounds like Cody.
So it's kind of fun. So not just working with a new group of team, I love that, and the customers, and I really enjoy like the branches and meeting some of the people and getting to know them. It's really fun.
Yeah, we got some awesome people here. Makes it easy.
Oh yeah, it really does. They're cool. Yeah, great.
By the way,
great
it doesn't
place.
surprise me with the Cody comment. Cody, Kyle, Andrew, they're always on the forefront.
Yeah, they're trying to help us grow.
And they are always looking at, hey, this is what's coming down. These are the changes that we're having in our industry. We need to get on top of this. We need to get
thinking.
very, very forward thinking in the HVAC world, which honestly I appreciate. I really do. I think it's phenomenal that they do that. And you have a phenomenal group underneath you. And I know that they think the world of you. I've talked to them. They love working with you. But man, you got a good group, and they are very forward thinking, and which we need to be, because this is an industry you have to be. You can't be caught behind the 8 ball on that.
Yep.
No, and they are, and you got to be on your toes with them too.
Yeah.
You can't wait around.
Yeah.
One of my
You can't BS them.
No. And I think one thing that works for them really well is one of my OCDs is I can't have a red dot on my phone.
Yeah.
So
you call them back.
Well, it's just done.
Yep.
Call me Teflon bread. It's not sticking. It's gone.
I'm the same way.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
So I think it works out really, really, really well. So
That's cool.
So that's your favorite. What's your most challenging thing that you do? And it can be something that you enjoy because of the challenge, or it can just be something that you run into.
Challenges. I had so many back when I was commercial sales manager, and we had a lot of rooftop inventory issues from the factory. I think challenges would be stemmed from nothing within Mountainland, but more vendor related and lead time issues, and just not being able to have something that you can't control that's out of your control, right? And that's a struggle.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, yeah, I'd love to call you with the answer, but I don't have the answer.
Yeah.
You know, and when that happens, it's you can get down on it because it's truly out of your control. And it was probably a year ago. Like I can't remember. It was somebody from Carrier I was talking to, you know, and it was with rooftops, and he's like, just remember, it's just air conditioning. Nobody's gonna die, right? Nobody's gonna die. And so I'm like, yeah, you're right. I guess it's real. Nobody's gonna die. They're just not. They're just not.
They're gonna be really
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
They're gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But nobody's dying. So
That's funny.
Once you figure that out, it's like, yeah, it's just. It's out of our control.
Lead times are hard. You know, I was talking to a manufacturer a few weeks ago, and he was, you know, for a long time, Carrier really was like 2-week lead time on everything, you know, residential wise. It was awesome. You put an order, it'll be there in 2 weeks. And that was great for us, but it created some bad habits for us. And when I was talking to this manufacturer, they manufacture fire hydrants. And I said, so what are your lead times looking at? And he said, we're about 8 weeks. And I said, you know what? Honestly, I wish the entire industry was 8 weeks, because Mountainland has always invested in inventory. Always, always, always. And that's where we shine. The large national companies, they rely on the manufacturer to have just-in-time inventory because they don't want to stock anything.
Yep.
Our job is to take that inventory from a manufacturer, hold it, and then sell it to the end user. That is our place in the distribution channel. If we could have everybody with 8-week lead times, we'd win every single job. But when they have 2-week lead times, then the nationals start coming in, they drop the price.
They do.
You can build in margin if you have 8-week lead times, but you can't do it with 60-week lead times, which is what we've had during COVID and post-COVID. We've had a lot of strung out lead times, especially with equipment for HVAC, because they change the series because of refrigerant, and at the same time as having those shipping issues with raw materials. So it's been interesting to try and juggle all that.
We were also with Carrier. Tell me if I'm correct. From what I heard is, they would tell you that we have these lead times, and you put in an order expecting it, and all of a sudden they have a production run of that. That's half the time, and then they just ship it to you.
They ship it to you. Lo
and
and behold, we got it more quicker than we needed it.
Yeah, so that made it hard too, is when you had these lead times, but they weren't reliable.
Right.
Yeah, because that affects the way we have to now.
Yep.
You know, if we get a big job and now it's going to sit here where we thought we were going to have, 20, 30 weeks before the customer needed this. Now all of a sudden we have it in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it's here.
And it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That made it really difficult. It's still difficult.
It's hard for forecasting.
It is. It's still hard to figure that out.
Yeah.
And then just, with lead times, the amount of more inventory that we have to carry.
Yeah.
Above and beyond that. So,
and we've noticed that as a company coming out of COVID, and I think we're not the only ones. There's a lot in our industry, but you came out a little fat on the inventory side.
Yeah.
And that's just because
it was a necessity.
Yeah, we're trying to take care of the customers. We're just saying, hey, we got enough inventory that they can keep doing their jobs, keep getting paid. And we kind of took one on the chin, and we
bulked up.
Yeah, we bulked up, and we're just fat on that. And now we're trying to reverse that and slim it down just a hair. Not to adjust in time. That doesn't work for our model, but to one that's actually a little bit more appropriate for what we need.
Yeah.
So
that's good stuff.
If you could tell somebody who just started at Mountainland one thing, what would you tell them?
Don't take anything personal, and don't carry any grudges.
That's awesome.
It's I always say cream rises to the crop, right?
Yeah.
So if you just get in and you just work hard and you keep your chin up and you do your best, you're going to get noticed, and people, you'll excel.
We're
very consistent.
That's a common theme that we hear. Put your head down and you'll get noticed.
Yeah. Yep. And I love the don't hold any grudges. Life's too short.
Yep. Really is.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one here. I think that's the first time we've heard that one.
Yeah.
But our organization, it's large, but at the same time it's super small.
Yeah.
and there's so much crossover, and you might be changing, and so holding grudges against people,
It's not gonna work.
You never know. You're going to run into that person again.
Yeah.
You're going to be working with that person some way, somehow,
Yeah.
one day. So I don't have any
Yeah.
grudges against you anymore.
Well, I'm glad.
Or any
I'm
less.
glad,
Oh,
'cause I
that's
was
true.
worried. Or less. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So,
Thanks for coming in, bud.
hey, no
Really
problem.
appreciate it.
I love it. It's a good
Yeah.
place to work. You
Thanks,
guys are
Brett.
great. Love it.
Our moms are
Love
going to
you, brother.
really appreciate this.
Yeah.
Good.
Both of them.
Yeah. That's our 2 listeners. I don't
Yeah.
know if you know that. But
I know because nobody watches them. I know.
No,
no.
none. Which is good because we needed to have a makeup run for you anyway.
Well, hopefully my head didn't shine too
It's
high.
okay. It did. It's all right. We're all in it together.
Thank you, guys.
Hey,
Okay, love you, buddy.
appreciate
Appreciate you. All right. Thanks, everybody, for jumping in, and we'll see you down the road.
Thanks, everyone.